China has escalated military tensions with India by its latest aggressive action on the line of actual control in Ladakh. On the intervening night of 29th and 30th August, that is the intervening night of last Saturday and Sunday, the Chinese army carried out provocative military movements in the southern bank of Pangong Tso Lake in an attempt to change the status quo there. This was stated by the Indian Army spokesperson today. The spokesperson said the Indian troops preempted this activity of the Chinese army and undertook measures to strengthen Indian positions. The Chinese action makes it clear that its intent is hostile and its aim is to grab Indian land. But is this intention and aim of China being read properly in the Indian establishment? Have we been able to come out of Hindi Chini bye bye mode? In the agenda today, we will discuss such questions and analyze the situation with two defense experts, retired Brigadier Vinod Datta and retired Brigadier Sandeep Thapar. But before we start the conversation, let us have a look at this small report.
4 months since it launched aggression against India on the line of actual control in Ladakh, China continues to maintain its belligerent attitude. In fact, it has just escalated the military tensions by its latest action 2 nights back in the Pangong Tso Lake area. Indian Army spokesman today said Chinese People's Liberation Army carried out provocative military movements in the southern side of the Pangong Tso Lake in an attempt to change the status quo there. Indian Army thwarted the Chinese attempt, the spokesman said, but did not give more details. The latest aggressive move by China makes it clear that it has no intention to end the face-off and might be rather provoking a military confrontation. China has been saying again and again that it wants the matter to be resolved peacefully, but its action on the ground speaks something else. It has already amassed thousands of troops and military assets to the LAC and is building concrete infrastructure at friction points. India has also mobilized the matching troops and military assets, and given this situation, India has to be prepared for any eventuality. The coming days and weeks will tell us where the situation leads to. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Brigadier Datta and Brigadier Thapar. My first question is to Brigadier Thapar. How do you see the Chinese latest action in Pangong Tso Lake? Indian Army spokesperson did not elaborate much.
I see it as not a very good development. Because on one side, you've been talking about diplomatic and military talks, restoring status quo ante in the military talks as well as in the diplomatic front. And it is obvious it is not working because the Chinese have opened another front on the military aspect. So there seems to be some kind of an escalation, some kind of tension in the both in the region, and which does not look good to me. It does look that some limited action may just happen in the near future.
So now let me turn to Brigadier Datta. As Brigadier Thapar said that there may be some limited action in Pangong Tso or maybe at the LAC after this action, because there are already murmurs or maybe guesswork being done by that there may be some military action or maybe escalation, or maybe it has already taken place because the army spokesman did not elaborate what happened. Okay. What is your opinion?
I agree with Brigadier Thapar that some limited offensive is required, because it is almost 5 months that we have not reached any kind of midway or a mid-course where we can reach on some agreement, or we can enter into a phase where the troops can disengage. So limited offensive is an option, and it is not by any stretch of imagination any aggression on China, because you are throwing the Chinese out of your own land. And you are just throwing the enemy, or you are just pushing them behind the LAC. So it is basically to protect the sovereignty of the country, and by no definition it is an aggression on China. And I think India should consider this option, because there has been enough of love talks between the two countries.
Okay, Brigadier Thapar, as I may ask you, as Brigadier Datta said that India should take military action, but it won't be limited to that. If India takes military action, it won't be limited to that. China won't be sitting quiet. It may open other fronts, isn't it?
There is always of the area and the forces enlarging, covering a larger area, and the war becoming bigger. But obviously, the military commanders would have thought through what action which doesn't escalate the issue, yet conveys the message to the Chinese that we mean business. I mean, our strategy is not working. Obviously, it is not working. 5 months later, President Datta said, nothing has come to naught. He's opened another front. He's not moved back from his original positions, Finger 4 or Galwan or Pepsan. He's nowhere, he's withdrawn. He's holding on to his positions. He's reinforcing them. And he's opened a fresh front here. So, obviously, our strategy is not working. And we are not taking the military option. He is. So, the time when diplomacy has to come to an end, and you have to show force, it'll obviously be limited. You don't want a full-scale war. Nobody wants a full-scale war. There need not be war. You don't have to confront his troops. You just go and sit somewhere which is not being held by him, which is vital to him. As a quid pro quo, you say, okay, I'm sitting here, you are sitting in my territory, you withdraw from there, I will withdraw from there. That kind of action can also be done. I'm sure there are multiple options available, and everyone's considering them at the ground level, at the tactical level, and thought whatever has to happen will be thought through.
But Brigadier Thapar, as you said, that it has no intention to go back. In fact, their ambassador, 15-20 days back, he said that disengagement has happened. There is nothing to disengage now. So that was the clear indication that they are not, going to budge, isn't it?
See, while that is very clear, what they're doing, these are psychological pressures which both nations are trying. The Chinese are trying. Now it is up to the political ideology masters to decide how much they can push or how much they want. So, and I'm sure there is some plan already in place, some time and space, some windows already identified, and some red line already identified that if should they cross this, this is what we are going to do. So, I assume that not much more pressure will be taken by India from Chinese. These kind of actions will definitely see something in the near future.
Okay, Brigadier Datta, if I may ask you, we are talking about military action, or the CDS recently talked about military option being on the table. Of course, obviously it is not something which is, comes from the heaven. We all know that military option will always be there. But speaking about it, many people think that it was a giveaway. What do you think? How do you see that?
Well, the very statement given by the CDS that we have the alternate options of a military action. I'm sure he must have weighed it, many a times before airing it, because since the talks are not taking us anywhere, we have had almost almost 20 rounds of small and
I think 22 rounds,
deliberate talks. Yeah. So, but those talks are not going anywhere. The China does not honor those talks. The very fact that we are having talks today, brigadier level talks, And say about 24 hours back, he has tried to ingress again into our territory. So there is no other option, because if the government does not take these options, and as I told you earlier, it is by no stretch of imagination, it is an aggression on any land. It is basically you are throwing out enemy from your own end, from your own land. So the military option is a viable option, and I think that is the only option which is available, though the government is trying that if peacefully we can resolve such like things. But the kind of activities which are seen on the LAC and the kind of intentions China is showing, and the force levels are increasing. In Galwan, it was maybe a platoon strength which was involved. Now it is almost two companies, say about 200 plus people attacking or trying to gain that height. So it is high time that we must weigh these options, and we must try to protect the sovereignty of the country, because otherwise, there is no point amassing so much of troops and amassing so much of equipment on the border when it is of no use.
So Brigadier Thapar wants to say something. Please go ahead.
Yes, on the CDS issue,
Yeah.
what I want to say is that it is obvious that the government cleared it. Probably government nudged him or told him to say it, because you see, it has implications. If the Prime Minister says something about military option, or the Raksha Mantri says, then it is almost tantamount to war. Then your political leader saying, "Hum ladenge."
Yeah.
But when a CDS says, a military man says, it conveys a point. It conveys to the enemy that, listen, they are prepared. But obviously, he can't take it up diplomatically that, you guys are ratcheting up war or not. So it was deliberate, psychological kind of a message sent through the CDS, not causing much harm like it did, but yet conveying a message.
No, I know that was very carefully worded. I'm not saying that it was like declaring a war or something like that. But people who are experts are saying that it was like giving away the surprise element. If you have an option, or if you are thinking about a military option, why to talk about it?
No, if Chinese have come in such manner, such number of forces at so many places, obviously they also know we are a capable force, much highly trained in mounted warfare. We've got adequate troops and resources, and we are no pushover nation. We are not a small nation. So it knows we will take action. Obviously, they're war game. They've come prepared. So all this is happening from their side as per a war game or a planned action. It has the approval at the highest level. It is not a local commander doing these things. This has the approval of the PLA headquarters in Xi Jinping, who's probably approving everything.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, please continue. Yeah, you were saying.
So that's what I'm saying. So they've come. I'm afraid we probably, at least we've not come out in public. The government has not come out. I don't think that we've really appreciated what the Chinese are aiming at. We've not correctly assessed what their motive behind is, or what do they want? Do they want that depth to their CPEC, and so that
correct. That was actually my question. Have we been able to read? Yeah, that was my question. Whether we have been
able to read their thing, because they are carrying out so many at multiple places. First Galwan, then Depsang, then Phangan. So at various places they are carrying out in sync, one after the another. So they've still not, as I say, they've probably not revealed their hand fully.
Brigadier Datta, what do you think about it? Have we read their mindset or their intent properly?
I can't hear you. Can you repeat it, please? Audio is very bad.
I am asking whether we have been able to read the Chinese intent clearly.
Yeah. Actually, we have read the intentions. If you go back into the history, China has been always, trying to, follow these kind of tactics. And I can say with a lot of confidence that the China and the cheating, they both start with the, C capital. So it is now imperative on part of India that we must now gather our wits and resources, and we must throw out these people. You see, initially we said there has been no intrusion. If there was no intrusion, why, so much of, halla gulla?
So, Brigadier Datta, if I may ask you a counter question, if we have been able to read their intent clearly, what is their intent? Please explain to our viewers.
No, intent is, it is their national policy. It is like, nibble and just get back. So, if India does not pursue these, these lost posts or the territories, he has gained. And even after negotiations, if you have, if he has gone back by 1 kilometer, he has already gained by 4 kilometers. So, this is what it...
so, Brigadier Datta, that is what I am saying. So, we have not possibly been able to read it properly. So, while they are engaging us in talks, they are maybe holding fort or maybe capturing some land. I don't know exactly what happened. But they have done something militarily while they are keeping us engaged in talks, isn't it?
Yeah, they are keeping a very cool front. You see, there has been no statements. There have been all measured and, calculated statements with the Chinese government asked the diplomats and various ambassadors to release it. Whereas, we have been, totally high on rhetoric and low on substance. So, the Chinese government has read the Indian, the mentality of the people and the government that they are not going to retaliate. So, it is high time that the Indian government should prove it to them that yes, we are not going to tolerate any nonsense. And if we don't stop it, you see, they are further, intruding in our territory, and they have no qualms. In biting you, bite by bite, and this is what the people are calling salami slicing. So they have achieved their aim without firing a single bullet, and we are unnecessarily, creating a ruckus over it, and we have not been. If 22 talks have failed, it is high time that the two premiers, they should involve the world other platforms and decide once for all that yes, let's decide on the boundary or the LSE. And we have this kind of technology available where you can demarcate even a pebble on the LSE, leave aside the big features and the rivers.
Okay, Brigadier Thapar, as Brigadier Datta said that we have been high on rhetoric and low on substance. And I may also ask you, because I have been talking to military experts earlier, because the window, if we talk about military action, the window is very narrow now, because the roads will close down because of snow. There will be snowfall in October or so. So we have a window of maybe September, isn't it, if you really want to have some military action?
Well, September, October campaigning season is there, probably mid-October. I'm sure we've identified them. It's not that at every place there is heavy snowfall and cutoff. Yes, certain passes are closed, certain roads are closed, but we would have identified the locations. For instance, Pangang Tso freezes much later. And even if Pangang Tso freezes, it doesn't make that much of a difference. For instance, fingers 4 to 8, should we want to take them? I'm just taking an example. But there may be places up north towards Depsang and Galwan where
no, sir. If I may talk about the logistics routes, maybe Srinagar Leh highway or maybe in Leh Manali, they'll be choked because of snowfall in maybe October or so.
See, we are used to that. These two highways close in winters and open only in March, April mainly.
In fact, May.
Sometimes. So we are well stocked. The rest of the 7-8 months, we use our air efforts and roads to stock that place well. This has been going on now for 5 months. I'm sure our operational logistics people military operations would have identified, and we would have adequately stocked. Even after the roads close, the air effort is always available, and we've got adequate number of heavy lift aircraft to carry the basic requirements and people in and out. So there is nothing to worry about.
But sir, if you have to, take heavy weaponry, mortars, heavy weaponry,
No,
howitzers, maybe. How will you?
All that is already in. All that is already in Ladakh. We have adequate forces. We have adequate ammunition. The only issue comes is we have adequate tanks and artillery pieces. They're all there. We have stocked them. We have moved them. And the ammunition is also in place. I'm sure it is. It's only the reinforcements and supplies which keep coming. They have to be done. You can't stock beyond a particular level. So those have to go, and for those, the aircraft are there.
So as Brigadier Datta was saying that we have been high on rhetoric and low on substance. How do you see that?
See, I won't totally agree with him. Yes, we've been high on rhetoric. We've been making statements. Maybe it is for a reason. We don't want to alarm or instigate a fight. Or, like I said, we have our red line. I don't know what red line Prime Minister Modi has kept for us, for ourselves, that once this China crosses, we will take action. It's only those involved in the talks and on the ground know what exactly is happening. I also don't agree with him on the earlier point that we've identified. No, yes, that is the Chinese method. Salami slicing is the Chinese method of taking over. What I'm saying is he's not interested in every place, starting from north to east. That I'm interested in Galwan, Depsang also. I'm interested in Hot Springs and Pagangso and further down Pukche. He has one odd place, the ultimate aim that here I will hold, the rest I may not, or I may vacate if the pressure is there. We've not been able to identify that particular location, that one or two locations where he means serious business. Rest all, this is all a kind of a ploy that you now. He's surely interested in fingers 4 to 8. He's holding them. Whether he's interested in southern side, this could be a ploy. It could be to confuse us.
Yeah, right.
So he does something here, we concentrate here, he does something elsewhere. So those are things. The Chinese are known as masters at subterfuge and treachery. So they've planned it well. We've still not, I'm not certain, at least I'm not been able to identify which is their real interest in this entire zone, real area of interest.
Right. Brigadier Thapar, if there is some military action, this issue has been, this face-off has been going on for last 4 months, but international players, big major powers have mostly been neutral. They have not spoken on this issue, except for US. They made some noises earlier in the initial days. But otherwise, all countries have been kind of neutral. They have not said one thing or the other.
See, US, of course, has made noises, the correct noises. See, we all know that the whole world is going through COVID. That's a bigger threat for the entire world. Nobody's interested in what is happening here, but yes, the Quad countries, Australia, Japan, the South Asian countries have in some way shown support towards us. They may not have come up openly to say anti-China with anti-China remarks or threatening remarks or taking sides, but they are with us because China is also doing that in South China Sea. So it's not everyone.
No, I'm not talking in South China Sea. China, there are countries like Australia, Japan. They have their own positions and own grievances against China. But I'm talking about Ladakh sector, where India and China are involved. Nobody has actually. Australia, of course, has made some comments, but I'm talking about maybe US, Britain, France, other countries. They have not. Russia, they have not spoken much about it.
Yeah, you're right, but everyone has his everyone has his own permanent interest in the. So maybe people don't want to annoy China in one-to-one relationship. But the fact is that we are on the right, and everyone in the world knows it. That it is China which is the aggressor. So, and when time comes, shove comes to a push, I'm sure most countries will support us, and we have the support of America, which is very good. Russia, for the moment, is playing neutral, both sides, because it has interest in both the countries. You see, there may not be a war, and if one nation commits too much in support of the one of the two parties, then he has to face consequences later. There may not be a war, and if Russia supports us or China, there may be economic fallouts of that or trade fallouts of that. So nobody wants to really spoil the pitch or mar the pitch with unnecessary comments. But there is no doubt that China is being seen as an aggressor in this issue, as like the South China Sea.
So brief comments, I'm running out of time. International community is kind of neutral so far. I mean, Australia has made some comments, the US made some comments initially, but other countries have kind of been neutral. So how do you see this situation? Brief comments, please.
Well, you see, some of these countries, as you mentioned, they have not opened their cards. But if you read the environment, they are all, with the democracies of the world. And since, America is spearheading this campaign, I'm sure in the past coalitions also, they have toed the line of America.
Amen.
So, in the international politics, these countries, you can take that, yes, they are with us and they are with the democracies and they want this nuisance of China, which is spreading day by day and it is, spreading far and wide, that it should be put an end to, and the smaller countries also should live peacefully, because today it is affecting them. And tomorrow, if China is not reined or it is not put into the cage, it may be, extending the influence on these, countries which otherwise are quite strong individually. But once they get the wrath of China, they may not be able to take it on.
So China really needs to be reined in. So let us see how India does take on China in the near future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for both of you to both of you for participating in this debate.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.